Excellent here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by boxer promoter Benn Shalom. Ben, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Here to announce, obviously, the signing of Joshua Buatsi. How long has this been in the works, and how long have you wanted Buatsi to come on board the Boxer and Sky train?
Well, look, you can want a lot of fighters, but if they're not available, they're not available. I think 12 months ago, I wouldn't have seen him wanting to sign necessarily. So that shows how far we've come. But obviously delighted to manage to get someone of his caliber going into what I feel are the biggest fights of his career. We're just delighted, if I'm honest. And yeah, I think it's been someone we wanted and would have wanted for a long time. But you have to wait, and you can only sign a fighter that comes to you and says they're available. And yeah, when that day came, it was wow. We have a huge opportunity right here, and we've taken it with both hands.
You've signed a number of big name established fighters on Boxer since you've been working with Sky. Where does this rank among those?
Right up there, because for me he's one of the, if not the most, outside the heavyweight division with Tyson, talented fighters that we've got in Britain. And he's hungry, and there's a lot of misconceptions, and he's had to hold his tongue for what feels like forever for him. I know that from speaking to him. He's extremely frustrated, and he just feels like, I can see how happy he is. He feels like he's been let free. He can talk how he wants, he can be who he wants, he can fight regularly, he can have the big fights, and he wants to become a star, and he wants people to stop what they're doing when Joshua Buatsi fights. And very, very happy for him, actually.
He made a few kind of subtle criticisms of the zone there, it's fair to say. How much of a factor do you think moving from a streaming service to a widely owned subscription service in Sky Sports has been to this move?
Look, I think there's no doubt about it, but and we know that with all our fighters, we're not arrogant enough to say, every promoter is there. In my opinion, how we judge ourselves is, can we get the opportunities for the fighters, and can we make sure their fights are seen by as many people as possible? That's what a promoter's job is. All the rest of it is what it is, and that's nothing. Again, that's a personal thing for him. All I would say is, 12 months ago, he wouldn't have made that move. He's very, very careful. He takes his boxing extremely seriously. Yes, he wants to be seen as many people, but I'm just humbled that he now feels trust in us to deliver what he wants to deliver as well. And as I say, don't get me wrong, we don't need to say it's because of us. We know the Sky Sports platform is hugely, hugely attractive to any fighter, and is a massive, massive thing. But obviously, it's taken a while, and he trusts the decision that he's making, and he's letting us deal with the most important part of his career. So I'm extremely happy, and obviously you have to ask him about things around platforms.
I will do. Obviously, signing him is a huge boost for Boxer. In doing so, you're also effectively weakening a competitor in Matchroom and DAZN because they've lost a great talent. Does that give you any extra incentive?
No, honestly, it doesn't. If he was a free agent, we would take him. This guy is so talented, as I feel genuinely. And it's a shame, because every fighter that seems to want to leave always gets sort of talked down and talked bad on. And we've had it before. And with Tasha Jonas, it's almost like she should retire. She's just won Fighter of the Year and earned more money in her career in this year than she'd ever earned. And Savannah Marshall as well, what she's done in making that leap of faith. And whatever happens, we just want to deliver for the fighters that put trust in us. And I think if you speak to the fighters that have signed proper deals with us, they'll all have great things to say, and that's what we want. And so with Josh Buatsi, I genuinely think we've got an absolute sleeping giant. I think he's been quiet. I think he's been on the fringe. I think he's not been fighting regularly enough. I don't think he's had the trajectory and profile that he would have expected and wanted. Honestly, I'm so excited, because I truly believe we're going to be looking back in just 12 months' time and saying, fucking hell, this guy is a superstar. And that's what's exciting, and I think that's why this is right at the top.
You say about talking down fighters when they're about to leave. I think only recently Eddie Hearn revealed that Joshua had turned down a shot at Dimitri Bivol for the WBA title. Have you spoken to Buatsi about that and why he turned that down? Because obviously you want assurances that you're going to get him in a position he's going to take that chance.
Buatsi would take Bivol tomorrow. I think what's not said is, and the sentence isn't finished, it's do you want to fight Bivol and then extend with us for however long for the rest? He doesn't. He's at a stage of his career where he wants the biggest fights, the biggest opportunities, and he wants to become a star. And he wants to be recognised for what he goes and achieves in a boxing ring. That's what this is about. This is about someone, one, activity, and he won't say it, he wants to be more active. Two, feeling like he's a priority. Three, the biggest fights that people are going to see. He was very, I know from speaking to him last week or so about the Craig Richards fight, and it was a tough fight, but what did it actually help him with in his profile? There's loads of elements to it, but he wanted to have a change, and every fighter should be able to choose what they want to do. And I genuinely would never ever talk down a fighter or say what they should do, especially one as respectful as Joshua Buatsi, who has tried to do everything right, who was sat out the ring for nearly a year, and we all know wants a big fight. And so this narrative that's been spun against it, and I don't like coming out like this, but it's more, I feel sorry for him. And I told him, are you ready? I've seen it now with 5 or 6 fighters. You might be called greedy. You might be called ungrateful. You might be called ducking fight. You know that he's scared of taking fights and this and that. I knew it. He knew. We knew it was going to come. And again, this is not a personal battle of mine. But we knew it was going to come. And fair play to him. He's got thick skin. He knows how important his career is, and he's not going to be told what to do. And he has felt like he's lost a lot of time, and he wants to make up for it now, and that's why he's straight out. We're like 6 weeks, you're out, no messing around, and then you're into big fights. If Bivol's offered next, he takes Bivol, believe me.
In terms of the nuts and bolts, this is an exclusive long-term deal.
This is a long-term deal, yeah. This is a long-term deal because we believe in Joshua Buatsi, and we believe he's got unbelievable fights at world level, but also at domestic level as well. And so this is a long route, and it reminds me a bit of Carl Froch. Elite level guy, not known to the public, comes onto Sky, couple of big fights, free to air, and he becomes a superstar and makes career high earnings and goes on to, now we still talk about it. Buatsi's that good, in my opinion. He's that good, and he's got the mentality as well. And long term, excited, and I just hope he can really achieve what he wants to, because no one deserves it more. No one works harder, and believe me, no one wants to fight as much as Joshua Buatsi does.
Eddie Hearn was quite vocal about retaining matching rights for Buatsi's next fight. Now Boxer have signed him to a long-term deal. Are those matching rights out the window, basically?
I think he had time to match, and according to, we were one of 4 or 5 promoters. I know 2 US promoters made big bids for him. I know Frank did. Huge money, more money than we did. They all were asked to make their offers. According to Josh and all his representatives, wasn't matched. With the time lapses, and we move forward. And look, that's one for Josh and Eddie, but in my opinion, almost leave it out. We've had the whole Lawrence Okoli situation. I think for me, it's a fighter's first business. Let's Joshua Buatsi. I wouldn't say about many fighters, but he is the most honest, respectful human being, and anyone will say that. And he's waited very, very long. He's not fought since last May. Let him get on with his career. That's between them. We know he's a free agent. We can't sign a contract unless it's a free agent. And so, as I say, I don't want to get involved in it. I'm delighted to have him, and just to be part of British boxing. And so, yeah, really, really looking forward to get going.
It seems like a lot of these guys are leaving predominantly because A, the stable's too big, and B, the zone is not available to enough people in terms of profile. So with that in mind, do you see more opportunities coming, more big name fighters could move?
I do, but we also want to keep our reputation for delivering for our fighters. As I say, I think if you speak to any of our fighters that sign proper deals with us, we put everything into it. We're still proving ourselves, and that's a good place to be in for a fighter. We're proving to all the fighters out there that we can deliver for them at the highest level. Our job is to deliver for our fighters. That's how we want to be judged. Judge us on what we do with the signings that we make, and how we deliver for them, and how we treat them, and how often they fight. And so, yeah, of course, we are now getting to a different stage where at the start we were just, we'll take him, we'll take her, we'll take this. Now it is, we want to be careful. And we've said it before. Yes, we feel like we're a very attractive place to be for fighters to develop and have their big moments, but we do want to deliver. We want to still give grassroots opportunities to fighters that aren't Joshua Buatsis and that aren't the Ben Whitakers and the Caroline Dubois, and so that's a big focus for us as well. This was a massive piece in our jigsaw, and yeah, whether there's more to come, maybe, but as I say, it will have to be ones that we're very confident we can deliver for.
And he'll make his boxer debut in 6 weeks' time, I believe. What's the plan by the end of this year? Will it be a world title shot this year or on the cusp of it?
I would like a world title shot this year. Obviously, we'll have to see what the unification situation is doing. He's number one in the WBA, very highly ranked in all the governing bodies. Obviously, had the IBF situation, which we'll look to resolve because God knows what actually happened there. And yeah, I think he wants to fight for a world title this year.
And just talking about some other stuff in and around boxing, we saw a little back and forth on Twitter recently between Benn and Kell Brook, someone you're quite close to. What did you make of it? Because I'm presuming from previous conversations, you'd quite like Kell Brook to stay retired.
Yes, but at the same time, if he feels it's right for him, when he fought Amir Khan, what a cherry on the cake. And almost I feel the troubles he's had now would have been even worse if he didn't get that Amir Khan moment. And yeah, if he wants to come back, that's up to him. I think anything Kell does, I'll support. Whether he fights Benn or once Benn is allowed to fight, I think that should be made clear. But yeah, Kell Brook, whatever he wants to do, I support. I just want him, as everyone does, to be happy and do what he wants. He's made enough money now, so I don't think it's for money. If he wants to do it, it's for another reason.
And talking of Benn, you've had quite a learning curve, it's fair to say, in terms of your relationship with the media since you've become more prominent. What did you make of his appearance on Piers Morgan?
To be honest, I feel sorry for Conor because I don't think he's got good people around him. I don't know what advice he's getting on the legal side. I don't know what advice he's getting on the PR side. I don't really understand it. The only justification I can make in my head is, are we going down the route of all publicity is great publicity? That's the only thing that, other than that, I don't understand it. And he's made mistakes, and I'm very against it. And I think it should be punished. And I think the boxing needs to look at itself as to why there's all these loopholes. But I do feel sorry for him. He is only 26 years old. How can he figure this out on his own? This is it's unprecedented, the amount of attention and what has happened to him. He needs people to guide him. And to me, from the outside, it looks as though he's not being helped. And I hope he gets better help around him to navigate through what is obviously a very difficult time.
Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, we're expecting to be confirmed this week. Who wins the fight? And are you at all disappointed it's not on Sky alongside Boxer?
I don't think it ever could have been. Tyson Fury's been with Frank for many years, and to be honest, I'm delighted that it's happening. The whole sport is waiting, and every time a fight doesn't happen, it's like a kick in the nuts, and everyone goes, "Oh, boxing, forget it." Everyone does. Even the guys at Sky would just be like, "Oh,
he swore there."
yeah. And so when they happen and they happen at the right time, you're grateful, and I hope it happens. And obviously, it looks closer than it did last week. I thought it was gone. But it shouldn't take this long to make fights. There's so many fights in that heavyweight division. I know it's easier said than done, but there's so many fights to make, and everyone's waiting on these things all the time, and there's so much problems with making the fights. I mean, it's something we're always looking at from a long-term point of view as to how to make it easier to make the biggest fights. And hopefully this is one that happens, and I think it'd be great for boxing if it does.
Who wins?
Who wins? I'm not going to say, because I know it's bad. I'll sit on the fence because I'm just glad they're fighting. Both good guys. I don't want to. I know them. I know both teams, and I hope they just get it on because it didn't look like it was going to happen.
And just to round off on the heavyweight division, you've got Martin Bakole, of course, a recent signing. He's going to be out in Poland on your show that's happening soon. Will you try with Frank Warren to match him against Daniel Dubois for that WBA regular belt?
We would love to. I don't know if Daniel wants to fight Martin Bakole. I mean, I was speaking to Alex Krasiuk, and he was saying to me, Martin Bakole is the toughest man that they've ever had in sparring, that they've ever had anything. Outside him and Tyson Fury, he's the last person that they would want to fight. And that's been Martin's problem his whole career, is people don't want to fight him. He's Congolese or Scottish now, and he is the next king of Scotland. And now he's going to hopefully become better. I think profiles are one thing he's missing because everything else he's got. And I think he's 28, 29 years old, sitting pretty in the WBA spot. He's going to get his chances at world title. And, you know, luckily with the sport, we do have the mandatory systems and you can't avoid them forever. And he's going to get his world title fights. And we're very confident that he can beat anyone. We really are. And that's why we signed him. And Daniel Dubois, he would take tomorrow. I know he would. But yeah, he'll be out on April 22nd in an unbeaten clash. Well, fighting an unbeaten guy, the whole from Ukraine, so he's almost a home fighter just across the border, and he's been out a year. And then we'll be looking to make sure he's ordered for the WBA regular bout.
Brilliant. Ben, always a pleasure. Take care.